Welcome to
CryptTeaze Family Fun Night.
2, 1. Hey everybody, I'm Chase Will.
I'm Nick Sullivan.
I'm Lucas Liner.
We're joined today by the founder of Troma, Lloyd Kaufman.
And I'm
Lloyd, how you doing?
doing great. I've been meaning to make it to Sandusky, Ohio, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it can matter.
Maybe you guys can help me.
Get some roller coaster rides in. Would you like those?
Yeah, those are all right. I prefer to get a movie, one of our movies. We used to play a theater in Sandusky, excellent independent theater.
Oh, yeah.
Named after the great coach from Penn State, Sandusky.
Is that the Sandusky State Theater over on Main or something?
I haven't been there, but I know they were a faithful customer of Troma Films, and maybe they still are. I think they've. I don't think we've heard from them for a while.
Yeah. So the way we usually start off the podcast is talking about the filmmaker's favorite movie, like what got them into filmmaking. Do you have a favorite of all time?
Favorite movie?
Yeah. Like what's a movie that made you say, I want to be a filmmaker someday?
Well, my favorite movie is #Shakespeare's Shitstorm.
No bias at all.
My favorite directors. There's one movie I saw once, a few years after escaping from Yale University, by Mizoguchi, the John Ford of Japan, or maybe John Ford was the Mizoguchi of Hollywood. Any event, The Princess Yang Wei-Fei is, you want to have a religious experience. I only saw the movie once because it was so important to me that I was worried if I saw it again, I wouldn't appreciate it as much, you know. So I have to think that was the most profound experience in the cinema I've ever had. Well, of course, there is, Pornhub. It's just very important to me. I'm a big fan.
A lot of clapping going on Pornhub.
Stokely.
So we're here today promoting the movie coming up, Slashing, the final beginning.
How did you know about that?
Oh, I actually talked with the filmmaker before this. I watched the copy last night.
Yeah, trying to keep it a secret.
Oh no.
Being on this webcast will help me keep it a secret. And your podcast. Sorry, I'm miserable, sad, old, bitter, drunk. So,
the secret to success, huh?
I'm very negative. Ooh, sorry.
So the movie coming out, what do you think about it? Is there any strong feelings going into festivals?
Well, Slashing the Final Beginning by Brandon Basham, who, by the way, wrote #Shakespeare's Shitstorm, which was played at a few theaters. And it had a big deal in the Fantasia Festival. It was huge there. And then we got a few theatrical bookings in Canada. I think that Brandon is the next talent of James Gunn quality to emerge from the loins of Troma. You know, we've discovered people like Trey Parker and Matt Stone who blame Canada. Samuel Jackson, Oliver Stone, Matt Stone, not the Rolling Stones, but we did this. Fergie's first movie is a Troma movie, Monster in the Closet. The late Paul Walker was also in Monster in the Closet. We've discovered a lot, and I think Brandon Basham, writer of #Shakespeare's Shitstorm, is next up for stardom. And Slashing the Final Beginning, and I think we did a good job. He is a brilliant writer-director, and I made it possible.
Oh yeah. What I liked about it too is the political commentary. It's just so quick and snippy. It's hilarious. Like he talks about the guys who are like, identifying as feminists, and they're kind of like trying to slide in.
Well, it's great. It's so refreshing, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the garbage that's coming out of the Twitter sphere and the newspapers. I love the conversation in Slashing the beginning of the final beginning, there's the boy and girl, they want to make sex, but they want to have sex. Yeah, they have to go through this ritual of making sure that all the PC requirements, which is the biggest turnover you can possibly have. But I listen to National Public Radio. They take this shit very seriously. They have they have major podcasts about the proper decorum. If you're in a university and if a girl wants to have sex with you, what she has to do to make sure that the boy is not taken advantage of. You
have to carry around a questionnaire everywhere you go, just in case. It's like the new condom, always just in case.
Or body cams.
Yeah.
Body cams.
So speaking of Shakespeare's shitstorm, we actually had one of the stars of that on the show recently, Dylan Mars Greenberg.
Great. Yeah. Well, she will also be a major star. Mm-hmm. She's very talented, multi-talented, movies, music, special effects, CGI. She can do it all. And she's a very great actor. So I'm sure, and she's driven. She's very ambitious and not afraid to promote and sell herself. And I'd love to see, if I live 10 more years, I would love to see where Dylan Mars Greenberg is in 10 years, because I'm sure it's going to be, she's going to be way up there.
I think in 10 years, we're going to have like a Lloyd Kaufman cyborg that's kind of just all encompassing. It's going to be everywhere.
Well, like Vixen Head in Futurama.
Depending on you guys to keep my memory alive.
Oh, yeah. Well, Troma's never going to be forgotten. I mean, it's kind of its own space. Like Troma is its own thing. It's never going to be topped.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
Oh, what I really like about Troma films too is that you're never afraid to talk about how challenging it is to make these movies. Like in the documentaries, like on Poultrygeist, you really go in there and you give everything. Like you tell us the show goes into day to day. There's all the troubles. Like, what keeps you going? Like, is there a quote you follow? What keeps you going on those really difficult shoot days?
I love movies for one, but any students who are listening, film students or fledgling filmmakers, check out the Troma documentaries. There are about 6 feature-length documentaries. A Poultry in Motion, which is the one about Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead, I think is the funniest, but it's also kind of sad. And there's one about Tales from the Crapper called The Thick Brown Line that is a failed movie. And these are great documentaries. I'm surprised that Shaw Communications or Netflix or Amazon haven't. These documentaries are so much better than most of the ones that Netflix is showing this pandemic period. Glass blowing. I mean, Jesus Christ, who gives a shit about that? I actually watched it. It said something about blow this. So,
oh dear.
Say no more. No.
Oh, that's what I mean. But it turned out it was about glass blowing, and it was boring as fuck. I mean, documentaries that you're referring to are terrific, and the only place you can see them right now is on Troma Now, the hot new streaming service. It's Troma Now is Troma's streaming service, and it's free the first month. So if there are any more of things you want to see of Troma, of the thousands of movies, video, shorts, music videos, documentaries, Tromette pictures that you can purchase, more valuable than the NFTs for sure. Troma Now is for you. It's great. And first month is free. So I would for you filmmakers anybody who loves film should go to Troma Now, but especially for those documentaries. Each one is worth at least a year of film school.
Oh yeah.
Right? I've got most of them on my Blu-rays and DVDs. So that's another way that's how I saw them, was on Blu-ray and DVD.
You're right, Nick. And there's one coming out on, or there's one out on, which is not on, I don't know if it's the one on Return to Newcomb High is called 2 Girls, 1 Duck. I don't know that out, but it's also great. It's just It's wonderful education and entertaining, and it's hashtag truth and love. Truth and love, that's sort of the credo. Hashtag truth and love. It takes you through life. And as far as making movies, we have 3 rules of production, which if you've seen these documentaries, you might remember: safety to humans, safety to people's property, and then in much smaller print, make a good movie, because people's lives are a lot more important than a silly movie, or any kind of movie for that matter.
Wasn't was that like that might have been Terror Firmer,
Yes,
the making of, that did that?
you got it.
Yeah.
It's one of the themes of Terror Firmer.
Yeah.
But also in the documentary, it's there. And I think most of our documentaries, we at least make reference to it. And believe it or not, the little Troma, with its tiny budgets, we've never had a serious injury, because we brainwashed the cast and crew about safety. And before they even come remotely close to being on a set, we make them look at, we make everybody who's going to work for us now look at poultry in motion, to show what it's going to be like, so they get an idea of what it's going to be like. So they can't say, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to make me sleep on the floor. I didn't know I had to learn how to shit in a paper bag."
You see things you will not forget.
Yeah. See things you can't unsee. So you know, the documentaries are really instructive and entertaining and funny, and you know, they're very emotional. And most of these behind the scenes documentaries, the commentary tracks are ridiculous, because it's just the actors and the directors talking about, "Oh, there's that chair I sat in," and, "Oh, look at me, I'm brushing my teeth. Look at that." There's no real information. Or the worst thing that happened is, "Oh, the Perrier water wasn't delivered. Remember Tuesday? Perrier water all day. Oh no, Mel Gibson."
Had to have Aquafina for an entire hour. We'll never forget.
Oh yeah. That's terrific.
Great,
So in short,
great
skip the shitty
shortage.
documentaries, watch Troma documentaries. They'll give you everything you need to be a filmmaker.
Well,
And also, you have a couple of books on it too.
I've written 7 books. 5 of them are movie making books. Make your own damn movie, direct your own damn movie, produce your own damn movie, sell your own damn movie, and more. Those are all on Amazon or the company store. We have a store called tromadirect.com, which is, I think, more expensive than Amazon. So please go to tromadirect.com.
And now you can stream your own damn movies too on Amazon.
What?
So now you can like stream your own damn movies.
Yeah, well, we're doing it. We're doing it. And of course, it's doing that is actually increasing. We you know, we have no advertising. We got no money for promotion, but word of mouth. That's the one weapon we have, gentlemen, is the word of mouth. And you can't buy that. You know, $200 million for James Bond 62. You can't buy the word of mouth. If the movie sucks, nobody's going to show up, because the word of mouth is bad. So they can.
That's how I learned about Troma.
What's that?
That's how I learned about Troma, was word of mouth, going to movie stores and like, "Hey, what's a fucked up movie I should watch?" And they're like, "Hey, you should check out Toxic Avenger," or something like that. And
Thank you.
that's how I learned about it.
My first experience with Troma anything was scrolling through Hulu in like high school, and just like, I just need to find something. It was like I was just really starting to get into horror, and then I saw the Toxic Avenger, and I'm like, this looks ridiculous. I'm in, and fell in love with it. It's, to this day, it's emblematic of everything, like independent, and just, I can't say enough good things about the movie.
Well, thank you. And you know, in fact, the Toxic Avenger, Romeo and Juliet, Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD, Class of Nukem High, of which there are 5 iterations. They're getting booked now. You know, 30 years, 35 years later, they still get booked. And when the drive-ins reopened during the pandemic, drive-ins called us up because they know people are going to show up for the classics. You know, we have about 12 movies that still get booked in the movie theaters with no advertising. And we just took over the rights to a wonderful film called Frankenhooker,
Yes, I covered that actually on the site with like you guys got Fran Hooker, what was it, Bath Case 2, 3, Maniac Cop, like a whole bunch.
Yeah, really wonderful from Jimmy Glickenhaus, with whom we were buddies. And back in the, he made a lot of very good movies in the 80s. He's now a race car manufacturer and driver, I believe. Very successful.
Transferable skills, you know.
And with Toxic Avenger being remade soon, is that going to bring in new people, you think, as far as like a new generation of audience members?
Well, if it's good, and I think it will be good, because Macon Blair, the director, you might know him. He directed, he acted in and wrote Green Room, Murder Party,
Ooh.
and recently he wrote and directed only one movie, but it's really original, called "I Don't Feel Safe in This World"
Oh yeah,
anymore, which I think is on Netflix. That's where I saw it. I think I read his script. It's better than the original Toxic Avenger, and he's still working on it, making it better. They have cast Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage, yeah.
Dinklage and Adam, the Canadian Adam, who's actually, I helped that guy get the part. Adam, you know, he's a young boy. He's in Boys, as a matter of fact. You know that series, Boys?
Oh yeah, The Boys, the comic book series.
What's his name?
I forget the actor's name, but you're talking about the superhero series.
Yes, he's.
Oh
in
yeah,
that.
it's good.
And
Oh, the lead
agent,
guy.
I haven't seen it, but his agent called me. He's also in a couple of other things which I have seen, but the memory does not serve me well. Took a lot of acid in the '60s, so I can't.
It's just now starting to kick in.
What this question is if I don't answer it. Anyway, yeah, I played a small part because his agent called me thinking I was a producer, which I am in name, and I was very happy with it. It sounded like a perfect. He and Dinklage will be perfect. So those two have been cast, and that's all I know. And I think the other fact, which of course you never know, is that I think they're going to film a lot of the movie in Bulgaria.
Okay.
So they seem to be, maybe not all of it, but it sounds like the major portions will be, you know, they've built a lot of new studios in Bulgaria. We were the first American company to film a movie in Albania. The hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, we spent 8 days because Albania gave us a big Navy boat. We couldn't get a yacht anywhere in the States for under $10,000 a day that was big enough. And they gave us a Coast Guard boat, and they did some great CGI. The crews were young, and they all loved Troma, spoke perfect English, except for one older guy who looked like Dustin Hoffman, so he got it fast. And a good guy too, very nice older man. So we had a great time, 8 days there, and they did some of the terrific. Have you seen that hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm yet?
I haven't.
Oh, you did.
I haven't seen Shakespeare Shitstorm yet.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, okay.
No.
I don't want to be a spoiler, but there's some terrific CGI, and which we really have never used CGI conventionally. We've used it, but in a very unusual way in Return to Nukem High and Return to Nukem High. But in hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, the CGI is used the way it should be, and very well done. And they did about 3/4 of it in Albania. Terrific.
Damn.
So, is that on home video yet?
Go on. I'm sorry.
Is Shakespeare Shitstorm on home video yet? Blu-ray, DVD?
Hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. No, it's in these festivals first. And
I'm definitely I love physical media, so I buy all the Troma Blu-rays and stuff.
Right now it's in the queue, but you know we can't do a lot because we have no money, so we have to do them bit by bit by bit. And hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm will be in a small number of theaters. You know, maybe the Sandusky will play it. Who knows? Tell them that you should, if there is a theater near you, tell them to do a Troma weekend or something. I'll come out there, and you guys could curate the Q&A and take 15% of take the agent's fee, booker's fee, and we'll all get high together. I mean, we'll all talk about Tarkovsky together.
Everybody can bring their own shit too.
Yes, very important.
BYOS.
That's right, like be like the show with where you throw toast at the screen and
Oh God.
you throw forks, spoons, or something, and also the other one with the midnight show that was so popular. Yeah, you show throw shit.
Of a hashtag Shakespeare shitstorm shadowcast.
Yeah,
Oh
sure.
my god, that would be.
You know, our fans get us theaters. And, you know, if I direct a movie, the house will be full. You know, if I'm the director, there's usually we, you know, it may only be a weekend or a week, but the first night is always full.
Mm. So the spirit of indie films, Troma, they really paved the way for everybody. They showed you can break all the rules, make your own rule book, and get going with it. You don't have to wait for Hollywood to come to you. Where is indie film going from here, you think? What are your predictions for indie films?
Well, I majored in Chinese studies at Yale University. And the big takeaway for me was Lao Tzu, the poet philosopher who wrote the Tao Te Ching. And he sees the universe as yin and yang, that good and evil are always together. You can't have them separate. Pleasure and pain come together. The oyster gets a piece of sand stuck in her anus, and which is very ugly and hurtful, painful, and yet she produces this magnificent pearl, yin and yang. So the yin is that everybody can make a movie. There's no excuse for not making a movie. The biggest, that's the good part. The bad, and you know, you could make movies now, as you guys know, for $2,000 or $3,000 Canadian dollars, and then you can put it on your own website or your own streaming thing, or Troma Now, or you know, maybe you won't get it on Amazon or Netflix or whatever, or if they do put it on, they'll fuck you, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
But you know, you won't lose a lot of money. Then maybe you make one movie, you take it to the conventions. Where have I been? I've been to one in near Cincinnati called Horror Hound. There's conventions around the country where you can buy a booth for $150 and start selling your hard goods, you know, your Blu-rays, and the conventions will also screen movies by new talent, new underground talent, or famous underground talent, whatever. So there's, and then you go on a Kickstarter for the next movie, and you can say, I already made this one movie, and you get your parents and friends to chip in, and maybe you get $5,000 for a second one, and you go back to the conventions, and maybe one of these movies hits, and you get a call from Sundance Film Festival or something. Yeah. So that's the good part. The bad part is that throughout the Yang, and by the way, there's a guy named Yang running for mayor of New York City, and I wonder if he knows that Yang is not such a, well, maybe Yang is good and Yin is bad, so who knows? I'd love to talk to him about that. He's one of those billionaires. These
are the important questions we have to be asking.
Yeah, exactly. Very important. Also,
real talk. Yeah.
He's a self-made man with one of those unicorn type companies that made billions of dollars. And I would like for him to lose some money, so maybe he could invest in a Troma movie, but I don't think he'll take that call. But in any event, the bad part is that throughout my career, from the very beginning, the opportunity for independent entrepreneurship has descended greatly, because the rules, at least in my country, the rules against monopoly have been done away with. Your government does encourage local filmmakers who are independent. And we have a couple of movies that we produced and or distribute that are Canadian productions, very low budget. In fact, Mutant Blast is a Portuguese movie that we produced with Portuguese government money. They gave, even though they knew it was a Troma movie, they added about, they doubled, I think they doubled our budget, even knowing it's a Troma movie. Mutant Blast, that has played Fantasia and a number of festivals. It's opening in New York, May 22nd at a small theater. So, but the big problem is that you can't, it's very hard to penetrate the hymen of the mainstream because the rules against monopoly have been done away with. They own the show. It's a club. The 5 or 6 big media companies who are international and the various governments around the world control the market. So in many countries, they will support you as an independent filmmaker, but your film may not be able to get a terribly good distribution without subsidization from the government of that particular country. Whereas the U.S. government basically helps the big, the tax benefits are all, the incentives are not aimed at the independent filmmaker, they're aimed at the multi-million-dollar budgets. So, and the incentives really are aimed at the conglomerates, AT&T, Warner Brothers, or whatever. You all have a kind of a cartel also, but the government at least is involved. So Slacks, that Canadian film Slacks?
Oh, yeah.
A horror film about underwear or something. No, Blue Jeans.
Killer Blue Jeans.
Oh, that's the one on Shudder now.
What?
That one just came on Shudder recently.
Yeah, well, because it was Canadian, it had about 15 movie theaters, if I'm not mistaken, in Canada. And Mutant Blast had 15 theaters in Portugal, tiny little country, and then got held over. Whereas unless I direct a movie in the United States, we can't get any theaters for anybody, except for me. And there's maximum 200 theaters that might give us a week or a weekend or just a midnight show. So it's that's the yang part. I think it's harder than ever if you're truly independent, to penetrate the hymen of the mainstream without you getting fucked.
Just really gotta get in there.
Gotta get in there. Oh, deep, baby.
We hear the success stories, but and the other problem is that there are so many talented filmmakers who make a movie, get taken over. Their film gets distributed by some wonderful Sundance producer like Harvey Weinstein. They worship Weinstein there. It gets taken over by some kind of producer like that or distributor, comes out, is successful, and then they never get any money back. The filmmaker gets no money back, and then they give him another shot, and maybe that one fails. That's the end of the poor person's career. So it's a different world, and the theaters don't hold the movies in. We had Toxic Avenger used to play for weeks at theaters. We had 2,000 screens for the original Toxic Avenger, and they held in there. Bloodsucking Freaks would play midnights for a year. What was it? Troma's War played a theater in Los Angeles. In fact, the theater that Tarantino now owns, it was there 6 months. With maybe we took some small ads at the time, but basically it's a different. There used to be a lot of Tromas in the at least in the American movie industry. Lots of little studios which were successful over, pretty good longevity. We've been around for 47 years, and I don't think there are any independent movie studios who have any longevity. They come and they go. They have a little flourish of, they try to compete with the big Warners and actually Warner Brothers is owned by a telephone company, AT&T, and Universal is owned by Comcast, your delightful fascist ISP, and so on. Sony is a Japanese company that makes earphones. So they're very successful. But it's a club, and if you're not part of that club, you're gonna have a tough time. And of course, you have to, be toe the line. You cannot make a Troma movie and expect to get into Sundance. We did start a festival called Troma Dance, which is going into its 21st year, and June 7th this year. Troma Dance has mainly non-Troma movies, but unlike Troma, we used to do it at Sundance Film Festival, same time, same place. And the idea was Sundance charges quite a bit of money to submit your movies, and they know they're just taking the money. There's no chance you're going to get accepted unless you're got some major juice to get in, or you're unbelievably PC. They even ask you now on that application form. The director of Mutant Blast told me that I didn't want to submit it to Sundance because we don't have a good reputation there. So he submitted on his own. He said that when he submitted, he had to say what his race is and what his gender is. So yeah, it sounds pretty good. Well, of course, they worshipped at the shrine of Harvey Weinstein. That's what they love over there in Sundance Land, right? They love all that bullshit. So at any rate, what are you going to do? So we started our Troma Dance Film Festival. So, and it's all free. It's open. You can submit your movies for free. You can see the movies for free, and no VIP policy. We have a big closing party, and who gets there first gets in. And you know, we used to do this at Sundance, and we had celebrities, and they'd have to wait in line. You know, there was no special cut, you know, velvet rope. You know, we hate that stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, if there's ever a time in the world really needs Troma, it's right now. So he'll be sticking around for quite a while.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I got this sling here. But,
oh no. Well, I didn't notice that. What happened?
Well, I'm transitioning. You didn't know this? I thought Tom told you. I got the right side of my body. There's a breast under here. And, it's the latest thing. Don't you have a lot of Canadians doing that now?
I know.
Hired by the what are they? The Sapkowski twins or the something Twist sisters?
Oh yeah, Twisted Sisters, the Soska twins.
No, they're brilliant. No, I love them. No, the other twins who made the
Matrix and stuff.
Huh?
Wachowski.
Yeah, those guys.
Oh yeah,
those sisters. I figured I'd join them. What the fuck? The song's over. Can you see it? I tried not to show it, but what the hell? Why not show it?
Oh, it's kind of bloody. I see it now.
People might pity me. Might sign up for Troma now. Do a pity fuck and sign up for Troma.
For just $1 a day, the cost of the price of coffee.
Well,
I said cost of price of coffee. I messed that one up.
Starbucks.
Roll, they'll fix it in post.
Anyway, Troma Now, first month is free, so you can see everything except what we're showing in theaters or movies that are in festivals. Otherwise, everything we have in 47 years is our documentaries, our shorts, our political statements, our movie lessons, individual lessons with famous people who've come out of Troma, like Trey Parker and Matt Stone and James Gunn. I've interviewed, and Eli Roth, I've interviewed a bunch of them, and the interviews are there. It's a really good channel. So, and if you're fast and take some caffeine, you can watch all of it in about a month, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Watch 1,000 items.
We'll sleep when we're dead.
Well, it could be a good marathon. You know, you could probably be a Guinness World Record if within a month you could look at probably 500 features and then 500 shorts, music videos, lessons, Tromet collectibles, whatever else, political documentaries. Yeah, we have a documentary about the Cannes Film Festival, a long one and then a very short one that shows why we're never going back there after 50 years. And there's another documentary about Amazon and YouTube, which is also very short, but it shows you using independent films as examples of how the algorithms seem to be skewed against the independent filmmaker and the independent content competitor to the cartel. They'll close down your movie or my movie, but they'll permit CNN or Shore Communications or whatever for having you know, people getting decapitated, or you know, plenty of that stuff is allowed on YouTube, and Amazon has plenty of studio movies with. They were just YouTube was just promoting a movie that Netflix had a Netflix original where they had children dressed up as strippers.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, heard of that, I should say. I didn't see it now.
That was okay, right? That was okay. There's no problem with them, right? Pedophiles are all right, but Troma, they canceled our channel on YouTube.
Did you guys get it back though? You guys got it back up, right?
You're right, Luke. The fans went after them, and our fans are vociferous. We have one fan named Fire Herpes. She really went after the liars and nasty people.
Well, God bless Fire Herpes.
Yeah.
Something you hear once a century. God bless fire herpes.
That's going to be on my tombstone.
It worked. Democracy worked. YouTube restored. So it shows you there's absolutely no morality involved. It's all about money, and it's mercurial. You can't pin it down. They don't tell you the rules. They won't tell you the logarithm.
Mm-hmm.
But it's clear that you can watch my little documentary. It's on, we have a YouTube channel that's free, and it's on that one, Troma Movies at youtube.com. But we migrated all of our movies to Troma Now right after we got kicked off. And when they restored the channel, it's still interesting, but it's mainly our sociological observations or shorts or cartoons or stuff like that.
I remember, like, one of the movies I always recommend to people for Troma for some weird reason is The Taint, because The Taint's one of my favorites, and
talented dude.
And it was on YouTube for a bit, and I would just send people the YouTube link, like, check this movie out, and then one day it's gone. I'm like, what the hell happened? And then that's how I found out that the Troma channel was gone.
Well, I helped the guy with another movie, and I mentioned that we don't even distribute the other movie, and I mentioned that in this documentary called "Independent Artists versus Corrupt Media Cartels." It's about 10 minutes, but I have specific examples, not just of Troma movies, to pretty much prove that these algorithms are nasty.
Yeah.
About Cannes, I've been going to Cannes since 1971, Cannes Film Festival. And the last year we were there, 2 years ago, they manhandled us, and we were, Toxie, Kabuki Man, Tromi the Nuclear Rodent, Tromets. We had a bunch of our stars. We've been doing it for 47 years, for Christ's sake. And the cops came and put us up against the wall, and it made us delete the photographs and things, film in our camera, not film, but the video in our digital cameras. And there was a guy in a Troma t-shirt walking in the street, and the cop in front of the big theater where they present the movies. Just a Troma, it all says Troma or something, or it's just a Troma logo. And the policeman came up to him and made him go over to a back street. No Troma, Padre Troma, no Troma, no Troma. Meanwhile, the Disney, well, it's in the documentary, you can see it, from independent filmmakers versus corrupt media cartel.
I checked that one out.
And again, we've been going to Cannes since, as I say, I slept on the beach the first time I went. And the citizens of Cannes love Troma. And actually, the policemen love Troma. It would appear that those big security guys in the dark suits and sunglasses who work for the festival, apparently we've been creating too much excitement. We're too festive for this festival, and too many people were learning about Troma instead of some shitty movie that MTV made or whatever. MTV tried to make movies for a while.
Yeah, how'd that go?
I shouldn't say MTV, but MTV was pissed off because they used to spend $500,000 on a party, and we would get more attention with our circus, our street theater. So, the other, I guess, there's no other reason, because Disney's characters were walking around with swords and guns and pirates and all that kind of stuff, masks and Toxie. And even though Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD, is a policeman, and you would think that the French security people and police would be very they'd give a courtesy to another police person. But
Yeah.
no way. Anyway, you can watch that little documentary.
Awesome. Well, Lloyd, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, that's the downside. But the good side is there's no excuse for not making a movie, and talent will out. And you've got to go for the brass ring if you really love movies. Which, like Eli Roth and James Gunn, they take movies in an eyedropper. I mean, they love movies, and that's what motivates them. And they will. And Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I mean, they've seen everything, and they're well educated. They read books, which unfortunately a lot of people don't. And they are extremely talented, but they didn't just arrive overnight. James Gunn, I worked for Troma for 3 years. So he didn't, and he spent 10 years writing scripts furiously before he got to Guardians of the Galaxy. He directed low budget movies, which are terrific, after Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah,
So
Slither.
it's hard work, and yeah, you're right, Luke.
Oh, I love
A lot
Slither.
of hard work, but I think it has to be propelled by a real love of cinema. And as Woody Allen says, success is 88% just showing up. Of course, he's fucking his daughter, but okay.
You were successful at it, though.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
I wish I would have done that. Too late. We go.
Lloyd, thank you so much for joining us, man. We're looking
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. Everybody subscribe to Troma now. Be sure to get on there. And these are big resources, bigger than college. Seek them out. If you're going to be a filmmaker, listen to Lloyd. He's done it all.
Well, thank you, Chase. And by the way, if any of you are in New York City, come and visit the Troma building. Meet
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm gonna be in New York this weekend. Actually, I got a trip planned to New York.
Well, there you go.
Maybe you can meet up. I'm still in lockdown, but Tom, my assistant, and well, I don't know if they'll be in during the weekend, but you ought to contact Tom. Maybe you guys could have a cup of coffee. How long are you going to be in town?
Just for the weekend.
Oh, well, let Tom know. Maybe you guys get a cup of coffee. You never know. Or if you, well, anyway, if you come for a little longer or some week, you come and visit. You meet some very nice young people. And I think in a week or two, I should be back there, at least part-time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the movie screening thing sounds great too. So definitely want to keep that in mind.
Yeah, please. That's a great idea. That'd be terrific. And we could probably tie in. I don't know how far you are from Cincinnati, but there's probably a convention. Are you anywhere near Cleveland? Because there's a couple of them there.
Yeah.
We're a couple hours from
Cinema
Cleveland, yeah.
Wasteland in Cleveland.
That's right. And we're pretty well known there and well liked, and we've been going there for years. And the Cinema Wasteland is one, Ken or whatever. What's his name again? Anyway, their management is terrific, and so they probably help us both around and see what you can do. Get the Midwest premiere of hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm on a double bill with a slash, and we have like 5 new movies coming out. So.
Hell yeah.
There's always a new movie that nobody's heard of coming out of Troma Entertainment.
Keeping going. All right, everybody. This has been CryptTeaze Family Fun Night. From us out to yours. Have a great day. All right, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, and blame Canada.
Blame Canada.
Canada.